lesson from yesterday on Our Voices Count, and we're gonna be going over author's point of view. Okay, so the question that we went over yesterday was, how do people make government work? Okay, so that's the question that we're gonna focus on. Okay, and we're gonna stop every so often and we're gonna go over the concept, the author's point of view, very important. Okay, can you tell me from the lesson that we went over yesterday what the author's point of view is?
The author's point of view is what the author thinks.
Okay, maybe what they feel, why they wrote it. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and go over some words for this lesson, which we've seen before. Okay, so first is announced. Miss Parks announced the winners of the contest. Okay, can you go ahead and read this sentence?
Yes. When does someone announce your name?
Very good. Candidates. Andrew is one of the 4 candidates for class president. Can you go ahead and read this?
Yes. What are some things candidates do before an election?
Very good. Convince. Julia's mother tried to convince her to play soccer. Can you go ahead and read this one for me?
Yes. What is something someone tried to convince you to do?
Okay, now, do you want to go ahead and try this one?
Yes.
What does it say?
Decision.
Okay, now with your finger, go ahead and follow along here and you can continue reading what decisions mean.
Nick made 2 decisions about what to eat for breakfast. Name 2 decisions you make every day.
Very good.
Elect. The students voted to elect a new class president. What is another word for elect?
Okay, can you think of a word that means elect? A synonym for the word elect? Choose, very good, high five, good job. Okay, this word, we've seen it a lot in math. Okay, what does it say?
Estimate.
Estimate.
Sam tried to estimate or guess the number of coins he had. What does it mean to estimate something?
Very good. The next word?
Government. Our government makes laws. Think of one law our government has made. Independent. It's good to be independent and do things on your own. How can you be more independent at home?
Now let me ask you a question. Do you think you're independent? For the most part? What does independent mean?
Independent means when you do something your own.
Very good. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start the lesson. Every vote counts, okay? We had our election. We had our voting day. We had our class mock election. Okay, so we're going to continue and we're going to start reading. We're going to go ahead and the genre is expository, okay? So we're going to go ahead and begin reading the story and the lesson. We're going to continue from there, okay? So right now, let's start.
Have you ever voted? Maybe you voted to choose a class pet. Maybe your family voted on which movie to see. If you have ever voted, then you know how good it feels. Voting is important. It tells people what you think. Many years ago, the leaders of our country wanted to know what people thought too.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, tell me, based on the author's point of view, okay, tell me, what do you think so far? What are his feelings, or what are his or her feelings, right?
I think he's excited because he could vote.
Okay. We live in what?
In democracy.
Very good. Good job. We live in a democracy. So maybe the author's, he's excited to write this because what?
He's showing us it's important to vote and
Because we are what? Aren't we citizens?
Yes.
Okay, we're very lucky to be able to vote, correct? Very good, Natalie.
They wrote a plan for our government. It is called the Constitution.
Ah, the Constitution, very important. Okay, let's continue.
It gives men and women in the United States the right to vote.
Okay.
Each year, people who are 18 years and older pick new leaders.
Okay.
They also vote on new laws. Voting gives Americans the power to choose.
Very good. So how do people make government work? How do people make government work?
They tell the government things for you could tell the president and the president people tell the government the government.
How do we tell the people? Do we call the president, hey Mr. President, I want this law to be passed? How do we make our decision? We vote. Okay, so that's how people make the government work. That's how us, the citizens of the United States, make the government work. By us voting and choosing our leader, we get to then have our voices be heard, correct? Okay, so let's continue.
They also vote on new laws. Voting gives Americans the power to choose.
Very good. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue, and then we're gonna do it together. Teaching kids to vote. Did you know that only about 6 out of every 10 Americans vote? That's sad. Some people think that voting is too hard. They are unsure where to go to vote. They think it takes too much time. Now, a group called Kids Voting USA is trying to convince everyone to vote. Kids Voting USA teaches kids that voting is important. The group gives teachers lessons to use in their classrooms. First, kids read stories and do fun activities about government. They also learn how to choose and elect a good leader. Okay?
Next, kids talk with their families. They reread stories about candidates. These are the people who want to be chosen as leaders. Families discuss their ideas and make decisions. That way, when it's time to vote, kids know how they want to.
Wait, let's go back. Kids know
who
Very
they
good.
want to vote for. On election day, kids get to vote just like adults. They use ballots like the ones in real elections. A ballot is a special form with the names of candidates on it. Kids mark their choices on the ballot.
Continue here with your finger.
Then they put the ballot into a special box. Finally, all the votes are counted and recounted. The winners are announced and everyone knows who won.
Okay, Natalie, I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you think is the author's point of view for teaching kids to vote?
He's happy because he's teaching kids to vote for their career, and then when they're bigger and 18, they really know how to.
Why 18?
Yes.
Why not 5? Why can't you vote?
Because I'm little and.
You're still too young, okay? You're still too young. Very good. Okay? Very, very good. Okay, let's continue.
Election day is here.
Okay, so in this first picture, what do you think we're seeing in this picture? We see some students and we see maybe a what? A teacher?
Yes.
Or a man, like you said, a man. Okay, in the next picture.
First we sign in.
First we sign in. So there's like an order here, okay? The next one.
Then we mark a ballot.
And then finally
we vote.
So now we're also getting into sequence, right? We're getting into the order of things. So what do you think happens first? On election day, You go in, you arrive to your polling place, and you wait your turn, you wait in line, right? Then you sign in. Then you do the act of voting, right? Which you're gonna go ahead and look at the ballot and you're gonna choose the person that you elect as president or vice president, correct?
Yes.
And then
Finally, they vote.
how exciting, right? Okay, so we've gone over the author's point of view. We did a little bit of sequence and we're gonna go ahead and continue, okay? Vote now. Voting helps kids learn how to be independent and think for themselves. It also gives them the power to share how they feel. Kids Voting USA wants to vote now. There's a good reason. They estimate that when these kids grow up, more of them will vote. In about 10 years, kids your age will be old enough to vote. You will have the power to help elect great leaders and make new laws. Isn't that exciting?
Yes.
Okay, wouldn't you be excited to vote?
Yes.
Okay, and have your voice heard as well? Elections are held in many schools to teach kids how to vote. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, there's the caption, there's the picture. Okay, let's continue reading. Your finger here, please.
This paragraph shows the results of a class election. Which pet was the favorite?
Okay, so vote for a class pet. So this is a little interesting, right? Because this graph is about what?
Pets.
It's about pets. Okay, so what are the different pets?
Hamster, hermit, crab, guinea pig,
A guinea pig and a mouse. Okay. Okay. So now what we're gonna do, Natalie, I want you to tell me a little bit, based on what we've read. Okay. We're gonna do a graphic organizer. We're gonna gather our thoughts and we're gonna organize them, based on the details that we've just read. Tell me a little bit about why do you think the author wrote this? And during this time, during this week.
Because he wants the kids to know that voting is exciting and voting is it's important.
Very good. Okay. All right. So, Natalie, we're going to go ahead and stop right here. And we're going to go ahead and do our graphic organizer. Okay? So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to get you started. Today is the 10th, correct? Okay. And we're gonna go ahead and give me just a second. Here we go.
Natalie, draw the graphic organizer. Blank. Show me Serena.
Okay. Don't forget to put your title, Natalie, okay? You're doing a fantastic job. What is the title of the story? Every vote counts. Okay, that's the title. Now let me ask you a question. Let's say we didn't have a title for this story, but we know it's about elections. Okay. Based on the author's point of view, what do you think would be a good title for this story? Because we can also do that. Would you want to get a little bit more creative and make it more personal? And maybe we can add your title for this story instead of the author's title? Why don't we make it Natalie's title? You want to do that? Okay, so let's come up with a title for this. I'll give you mine.
Voting is important?
Voting is important. Okay, can I give you one that I came up with?
Yes.
Every voice counts. That's it. Very good. The title will keep you on track, okay? It'll help you stay on track as you complete this graphic organizer, okay? Every voice counts. Very good. Do you want to add some feeling to your title and maybe end in a what? You're adding feeling. Are you going to end in a period? Exclamation mark. So you want to add some feeling to your title? Okay, go ahead. Okay, very good. So the title of the story is Every Voice Counts. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what the feelings about the author. Okay, we're going to start off first. Write a number 1. And let's come up with, how do you think the author feels? So go ahead and write the question. Remember, 6 out of every 10 Americans vote. That's kind of sad. Okay, that's not everybody is voting. Not everybody's getting out to vote. Okay, so how do you think the author feels when he sees that not everybody's voice is being heard? How do you think that makes him feel? Him or her? Sorry, I keep saying him.
Sad?
Sad, okay. So go ahead and state how you think the author feels and tell me why. In a brief sentence, okay? You know, we've already read the story, so I don't want to reread it again because this will be the 3rd time that we read it. And you know the story very well. However, in a little bit, I want to hear for the final question so we can wrap up the lesson. Before we continue, I want to know, since our main focus is the author's point of view, okay? I know that voting is important, okay? And everyone should vote, okay? But I want you to give me a little bit more detail when you continue writing your response to this, okay? So we can wrap it up because we have to move on to the next lesson. But just go ahead and be a little bit more in depth, right? A little bit more detail. about how do you think the author feels about how only what? What do you want to say? Very good. So you're going back into the passage based on what you recall, correct? So it's 6 out of how many? 6 out of every 10 Americans voted on that survey, right? Okay, so let's finish writing that question. Okay. Okay, very good. So we came up with our questions. Americans could only vote. That's what you formulated, okay. So, Natalie, your response to this was you think that the author's sad because not everybody's getting out and vote. They're not voting, and this is the only way that what? They can vote. They can have their voices heard, okay? So, and he's sad because we're so lucky that we live in a democracy, yet not everybody's getting out to vote, right? So, I agree. You and I agree on the same thing. Author's point of view has finished. We're done. This was our last time reading the story for the week, and we're going to continue with author's point of view, but we're going to start a new topic since election is now over. Natalie, you did a very good job. We'll continue this tomorrow, okay? During our next session.